Okay, we are just going to wait a few moments. Okay, alhamdulillah, we are live on YouTube and Facebook. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to our weekly Q&A with Shaykh Akram every Thursday, 6 p.m. BST. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and hopefully, inshallah, we get more people to join. Let's get started, inshallah. I know we had quite a few questions last week that we weren't able to answer, so let's actually take one question from last week. This question is from Muhammad Waqas, and I will just put the topic on the screen, inshallah. Okay, this question is it compulsory to use a rate of silver for calculating the nisab on paper money, or is it optional? And is it permissible to use a gold rate to calculate the nisab on paper money to give the poor person an advantage to become rich? I ask this because the silver rate does not really correlate with what richness is in the current economic situation. I can't understand how a person with £380 would be considered to be rich.
Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. When the Prophet ﷺ, defined the nisab for the gold and silver, so that time, the nisab of the gold and nisab the silver, they were same in the value. So either people calculate, the gold or silver, or both of them, it was same thing. So there was no difference. But later on, the silver became very, very cheap in our time. So if we take the silver as a standard, then basically even poor people will become like, to have to pay zakat. So I have preferred in my book, if people read Al-Fiqh al-Islami, the volume 2, I preferred that with some arguments. And there are people like me, not only me, that we think that in our time, the standard should be the gold. So if your money, in account is saving, and also at home, the cash money or gold or silver jewelry, all of them become the value of the gold nisab, which is, I think, 85 gram. If it is like that, then you have to pay zakat. It will be 3,000-4,000 pounds. If less than that, then you are not, you don't need to pay zakat. Anyway, so what I give fatwa is that the standard is the gold, not the silver.
Okay, inshallah, let's take the next question, which is quite interesting. This question is, what are the characteristics of the Al-Khawarij, and are the Taliban proper mujahideen?
Khawarij basically means the people. Kharaja khurujo means people who rebel. So Khawarij are the people who rebelled against the established rule of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Ali was the fourth Khalifa. The people who rebel against him, they are called Khawarij. And Ali who spent much of his life in fighting them. So it was really so much a war. He defeated them, but anyway, the Khawarij still remained a power. So Khawarij all the time, they keep coming. There's the group who think that they are the only people who are believers, and they implement the Quran, and they accuse everybody to be against Islam, and they rebel against the established state. So they keep coming. Sometimes actually the states, they accuse a group of being Khawarij in order to make them unpopular among Muslims. So we have to be careful, really, because we cannot label anybody who's our opponent as Khawarij. Khawarij are the people who they don't look into the interest of the Ummah and the order, rather than they have their own thinking, and their thinking becomes more important to them than the text of the Quran and Sunnah. So they don't care if Muslims are being killed for their ideas. Muslims really, they want to save the blood of the people. They don't want to kill anybody. So they will be very, very careful. But Khawarij, they never careful. Once they get an idea, they don't care if the people are being killed. They killed the Sahaba, the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. So we have to be careful. Jihad has many, many meanings, really. One of the jihad is that you defend your country. So Taliban or any Afghan people, their countries have been occupied by foreigners. So if they defend the country, they will be mujahideen. So if people defend, they are also mujahideen. But real mujahideen are the people who fight for the sake of Allah, to please Him, and they don't have any selfish interest. So these people are very, very few in the world. They are not there. And also the conditions of jihad I explained last time. Should be under one leadership, and it should start from a safe home, Muslim home, and it will be more likely that you're going to win. If these conditions are fulfilled, then you start, jihad. Otherwise, Islam does not allow people to do jihad. It will create more disorder in the society, more trouble. And jihad should bring the peace, not disorder. Yeah.
Okay, Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Let's take a question from Adil Khan. This question is, in today's world of quantum physics, evolution, and philosophical naturalism, pose a major threat to religion. How can we hold onto our faith when the scientists show convincing arguments against God?
Thing is, we have to understand the function of the mind and reason. Reason is very limited. Reason cannot work, for things which are undefined, unlimited. Reason only can work, on the basis of the observation. See, if something does not come under the observation, the reason cannot work. So to say that, scientists have brought convincing argument against God, it basically is ignorance of the nature of the science. Science never discussed God. It is not their subject. Science never can claim that they have got any convincing argument against God. Because science only works, what is under the observation, not what is not beyond the observation. It's impossible. They don't have really. Even the great philosophers of Europe and even Greek philosophers, they actually made very clear that our reason cannot comprehend unlimited. So God, by definition, God should be really unlimited. So we cannot comprehend it. The simple thing is we should not discuss something which we cannot comprehend. My human mind cannot comprehend that reality. But we can understand. So no scientist can claim that science actually says has a convincing argument for against God. Nobody can claim they have got convincing argument for God. Nobody has got any rational, convincing argument against God or for God. To know the God, there are many, many arguments. Human nature, what you see, observe, causes and effects, so many things. So when you put them together, so you will think more likely God is there. Then you believe in Him and work on until your faith becomes stronger. But if you ask me, do I have a convincing rational argument to prove God exists? So I will say, no, I don't have. Similarly, those who deny God, they don't have any argument. And actually, in this world, most of the things that you believe, that you don't have convincing argument. You only start from probability, something more likely, probable, and you start with that, and then your knowledge keeps growing. When you buy a house, when you marry someone, you never certain that this person the right partner for your marriage. But still, you marry. You buy something, on probability, you don't never certain that this is the best thing that you want to buy. Nobody certain of anything. That's how Allah has made the world. The simple matter is, the God is not to be known by mind. God has to be understood by our fitra, our nature, and the reason supports it, and all the observations support it. If you put them together, you will know God. But if you want to find God from your reason, just mere reason, like philosophers do, then certainly you never can find God, because reason even cannot help that you exist. Leave God alone. Actually, rationally, nobody can prove that they exist. Impossible. Actually, though I know I'm speaking, I'm here. That's why some philosophers, they become tired. They say, "I think, therefore I exist." You see. So the argument is not that I see myself or people can see me. Argument is that I think, therefore I exist. To prove your own existence is impossible. Actually, nobody can prove anything on the face of the earth just on the basis of the reasoning. People put so many things together, then they bring a good proof, not a convincing proof, a good proof. So for God, we have got a good proof, which is combined from many, many things. And that's what Quran keeps saying. So many arguments, we put them together, so you believe in Him. But if you think that science can bring a convincing argument against God, or religious people can bring a convincing argument for God, so you are wrong. That's never can happen.
Shaykh, just a follow-up question on this topic. will you be able to define what the fitrah is? Like, is it correct to just say that it's like a natural instinct, or how would you define it?
When things are born, everybody knows really they have some natural things. When you have plant, do you know really which plant needs sun and how much air and how much water? How do you know? You study their nature. How people know that they need to drink water and they need food? What make them? Why they can't instead of water they drink petrol? Instead of food they eat sand. Why don't happen that? What makes all human being from the east to west agree on the food? There are variety of the food, but they eat food, they drink water. What makes them? And they're born, they have no reasoning. How people know their mother? When they're born, they don't know what mother means. There's no proof, but still the child is crying and the mother gives the milk breast and is happy. So when people, sign of the nature is that when you follow it, it gives you survival, makes you move, and also makes you happy. When you follow when you break the nature, you can see trouble. The same like plants, animals. When you treat them natural way, they become happy. They're so happy. People who raise dogs, ask them how they raise dog. They cannot understand language, but naturally there are something common. So they understand that, and then a dog follows that. People who look after the kite, they say same thing. So nature is not something ambiguous. We need food. We know really what is natural food. And we also need what is the corrupt food that we have corrupted. They're not natural. So don't you know really that, when you're hungry, you need what fitra suggests, not what people advise you. When you eat what people say, you corrupt yourself. But when you eat what your fitra said, so people know what natural food. Everybody knows what natural means. So that what nature. Natural means, those qualities on which you are born. Allah has created you. Fitratallahi allati fatara nas alayha. Quran said the fitra is the fitra on which Allah created things. So if you get that the people are created to love their Lord, to surrender to Him because they depend upon Him. So they depend upon Him, so they want to surrender to Him. This is the deep fitra in every human being.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. SubhanAllah, it's a really interesting subject. Let's take the next question. This is from Jihad. This question is, if we wash impure clothes in a washing machine with pure clothes, does everything become impure since impurity mixed with water is less than 190 liters?
Yeah, thing is, when you clean something, that's how people think. Something impure, and you put water, the water become impure. How can it purify it? This how people make the logic. The purity actually comes with the command of Allah. So when He commands, that what makes things pure. So like tayammum, when you don't have water ablution, you don't do wudu, but you do tayammum. But water, dust and they don't make you clean, but it's a command of Allah behind it that makes you clean. So when you do tayammum, you become pure. There was ghusl obligatory upon you, there was a wudu obligatory upon you, but you can't have wudu and ghusl, so you do tayammum. But tayammum only purifies because the command of Allah. You make intention to obey Him, and you become clean and pure. And the Quran said that Allah wants to purify you and clean you. So similarly, for example, on the ground, if there's somebody urinate, how to clean it? Just pour the water. Though actually, when you pour the water also became impure. But now the ground is clean. Your carpet, carpet dirty, your child urinated, somebody urinated on the carpet. How you clean it? You pour the water, clean the water. Now the carpet become clean. Though actually, water is not two kulla or this, nothing. This water was just a small bucket. Somebody came to the mosque of the Prophet ﷺ, and he urinated in the mosque. Companions became angry. The Prophet stopped them. And when this person finished the urinating, the Prophet said to him, don't, in the mosque are pure and this and that. And then he asked a bucket of water, small, and then he poured on the urine. It becomes pure. So similarly, dry cleaning, for example, in dry cleaning, you don't have any water actually even. Just dry cleaning. So it could be that your clothes is dirty and impure with urine or something like that. and you put your clothes in dry cleaning, the water was not used, and now it is clean because the impurity has gone. So similarly, washing machine, you don't necessarily need the amount of the water the people say. It is clean because now water came and clean things, impurity no more there. Things are impure because impurity is there. If there is no impurity, how can be it impure? So this comes from the hukm of Allah. Similarly, like a mirror, if there's a urine on the mirror, you don't need to wash it. You just wipe it. A sword, they're comparing you to fight and they have blood on the sword and even urine. If they're on sword, they say just wipe with leaves or something, it becomes pure. The purity of everything is according to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The washing machine, if clothes are there dirty, impure, all together, once the washing machine has done cleaning, it stops. Now all the clothes are clean, pure. Similarly, dry cleaning, all the clothes in dry cleaning, they become clean at the same time. Maybe they were impure before, but now they are pure. Same human being, people are impure, they have wudu or ghusl, they become pure, or they have tayammum, they become pure.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Let's take a question from Alia Bashir now. She says, you have said that motherhood is the only responsibility of women. What exactly are the responsibilities of motherhood? Can you please specify?
Thing is, we don't define everything, but certainly people know really what motherhood means, to raise the children, to look after them, to give them love and affection. Otherwise the child can be raised without the mother and without father. But what is important is the mother, the affection, the love. That's more important. Teaching good things, teaching them to how to do ibadah, how to. That's why Allah wants to create human being in the family, because then they learn how to worship their Lord from the family. Good manners, that they learn. But the most important thing is, this love and affection that they depend on their mother. They love her, and then they respect her when they grow. So mothers should love their children and should take care of them. If mothers don't love and don't care, they're not mothers. Then they create a bad name for the mothers, and that's why people have all the time problem. I've seen some people, they hate their mothers because they never have been good for them. So anyway, the basic thing is basically two things you can say, that mothers should love and care for their children and also educate them, teach them. Not formal education, but at least worship of Allah, ibadah, and good manners. To grow, they know how to eat, how to drink, how to talk, how to respond to the people, how to control the anger, how to have patience, sabr. It's the good qualities. The duty of the women is to make their children good, not only happy. Some women think, that's, whatever the child says, I want to make him happy. That actually you corrupt the child. You make him happy, but in order to make him good. So if happiness actually harm their character, then it is not good. So you have to make balance between happiness and between goodness.
Okay, inshallah. Let's take the next question now. This question is from Muhammad. His question is, I have a question about people who say that they have seen the jinn. There are incidents reported that Abu Hurairah saw the Shaytan and the Quraysh saw him on the day of Badr. But the Quran says that the Shaytan and his followers see us while we cannot see them.
The thing is, in the time of the prophets or messengers, sometimes some of those things which are unseen, they can be shown to the people. That will be affirmation of prophets' teaching. So no, people don't see Shaitan and jinn, but in the time of the prophet can happen, like Sulaiman alayhi salam could employ them. So if a prophet says, in his time something like that happened, we accept that, because that actually Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want to show the people that what the prophet teaches, that's a right teaching. So it could be in the Battle of Badr, they have seen. So that we don't deny. But in our time, if somebody said, I've seen a jinn or Shaitan, in their real form, impossible. If Shaitan and jinn, they appear in the form of a snake or, scorpion or even human being, they're different. But how do we know really it is Shaitan or jinn? Just you guess. So there's no way they can prove it was jinn. You just can guess. But you never can see them in their real form. That never happened. The Quranic verse, when Quran said, إِنَّهُمْ يَرَوْنَكُمْ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا تَرَوْنَهُمْ, they see you from where you don't see them. The meaning is not that jinn and shaitan can see us and we cannot see them. That's not the meaning. You can see that prophets have been seeing them, and even companions have saw them. That's not the meaning. Meaning is the way they look at you, you don't look at them. How they look at us? They look at us with jealousy. Shaitan only will look at us jealousy. He's jealous of us. He wants to harm us. We don't have jealousy against Shaitan. We don't have any hatred. Adam never been jealous of Shaitan, Iblis. The Iblis wanted to harm him. That meaning they see you from where you don't see. Meaning the way you see them with the eye, they don't see it. You see them normally. You think they're normal creation, but they don't. Allah wants to encourage you to hate them, to make them enemy. That's Quran says, make Shaitan your enemy. So Allah says, you don't know really. You think they're simple like you. They're not simple like you. They hate you. They're jealous of you. So make them your enemy. So innahum yarawnakum min haythu la tarawnahum. They see you from where you don't see. Meaning is not seeing with the eye. Meaning is you think about them. It is seeing with the mind basically. Your idea is that they are simple. No, they're not simple creation. They are jealous of you. They look at you with jealousy. So remember the meaning of this verse. Many people have misunderstanding about this verse. They think it is seeing with the eye. It's not seeing with the eye. It is seeing with the mind.
Okay, inshallah. Let's take the next question. And this question is the woman's sajdah and the way of sitting in salah the same or different to men? Some people say that it is different, and they give many weak ahadith, and there is no sahih hadith about this. What do we do?
The prayer of the men and women actually are same thing. The little difference is not important. Difference how much to raise the hand, and the women put their hand under their navel, on their chest. When they do sajda, they do little different from the men. Or when they sit little different from the men. Very little, not so many differences. So these differences, they are not in any sound hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. They never came. Though they have been practiced by the early generation. So there are sound reports from the companions and also from great tabi'een like Ata ibn Abi Rabah and people like that who are the muftis of their time among the tabi'een and the best generation. They used to teach women, to do sajda and raising the hand, things like that, different from the men. So that's why people like Imam Abu Hanifa, Malik, Shafi'i, Ahmad Hanbal, these people, in some of these matters, they say women differ from the men, but not obligatory, just recommended. So if they do, that's fine. If they don't differ, it's still the prayer valid, nothing is harm there. So certainly we don't have these reports or the sound from the Prophet ﷺ directly, but they are reports from the companions and from their students. And not only their reports, they used to teach and insist on that. So that's why it became very important for many ulama like Imam Hanifa, because they have seen their teachers, insisting on that. So they don't set it further than wajib. They set it recommended. It does not make women lower or inferior. It's just more covering. But anyway, if the women don't want to follow that, it's still fine. Like Imam Bukhari. Imam Bukhari's opinion is that the prayer of the men and women is exactly same. There's no difference. And he has very good argument. One of the argument is Darda. She used to sit in the prayer same like men. So Imam Bukhari brings her practice in Sahih Bukhari that وَكَانَتْ تَجْلِسُ جِلْسَةَ الرِّجَالِ. She used to sit like the men. وَكَانَتْ فَقِيهَةً, and she was the faqihah, jurist. Imam Bukhari want to say she is a jurist. If she sits like the man, then it means women can sit like the man. So Imam Bukhari think there's no difference between the prayer of the men and women exactly in anything. That's also an opinion. Imam Abu Hanifa and Shafi and other people, they think there are some differences. They've got their argument, but nobody says that if you women don't differ, the prayer is not valid. Nobody says like that. It is just recommended.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Let's see if we can fit in one or two more questions. We have a question from Ahmed Shaib here. Was the event of Al-Khidr a vision? I have heard this. What is your view, and why was the boy killed before he could express his kufr?
What was the event of Khidr a vision? Oh, it means a dream. Musa saw in dream. No.
Yeah, I think he's saying a dream.
No, Musa al-Islam traveled all the way to Bukhari, Muslim, all the books of Hadith. And also Quranic version very clear that traveled, he went there and they hired a boat and, did not pay anything. And then They came to this town, and the town people did not host them. All those things, And dream is not such an important thing. That anybody can see any dream. What to do? What is important of dream for Musa al Khadir? Here are people in our time that seen the dream. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Prophet Muhammad is much better than Khadir and Musa. So, if a dream is such a thing, you can see a dream the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. People actually see a dream Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Dream is different matter. That is, happen, and there are so many hadith which makes clear that how Musa gave his speech, and somebody asked him, who's the most knowledgeable person in our time, and Musa said, it's me, and then Allah wanted to show him that, there is somebody who knows something more than you. So Musa is a humble man. He wants to learn, actually. If somebody knows more than him, he wants to learn. So anyway, so my view is actually this is a, real thing. But if you want to understand this thing, I taught Surah Al-Kahf in detail. So you can find a recording from Al-Salam. Ask them, and you can read that story. Listen from recording. That will be much helpful. And now, if I summarize, it will take at least 1 hour. All the thing why he killed the boy, and all these things. There are wisdom behind it, but explanation will take a lot of time. And I already have explained. So just get the recording and listen to it.
Yeah, so for Brother Ahmed, if you can go onto al-salam.ac.uk and go on our on-demand platform, it should be at the top. We should have the Tafsir of Surah Al-Kahf, hopefully, inshallah. Let's take one more question, but Shaykh, I know this question, most of these questions are quite big, so I know it's time doesn't allow sometimes, but let's try and take this question. I wanted your opinion about Allah burning disbelievers forever. Will Allah really punish some people forever? If that's the case, isn't this unreasonable?
Thing really is what is reasonable and what reason not reasonable. We cannot know really, because Allah said in the Quran, "La yusalu amma yaf'alu wa hum yusalun." Nobody can question Allah. Allah will be the one who's going to question the people. Whatever He does, that is reason. It is simple matter. We have to understand it. If you don't understand, surrender to Him. Is that how when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam to kill his son, slaughter him. Think really, the wisdom is that a son is born, you have to keep him. You have to make every effort to save him, not to kill him. And now Allah commands the opposite of what the purpose of creation is, that people give time and get time and they live. But Ibrahim has been commanded to kill him. And he does. He said, I'm going to do what my Lord commanded. And he asked his son, and he says, yeah, oh my father, do what Allah has commanded. So that how the believers are. They surrender their every reason, love, affection, everything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is very, very important. Learn from the life of the companions, how good they are believers. Sometimes they don't understand. They ask the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam something. The Prophet says, no, don't say like that. Say, oh our Lord, I will listen to you and obey you. And don't burden us something which is beyond our capacity. So Allah loves that. So the way to surrender, whether how Allah is going to punish people forever, just think in your time really. When somebody kills someone, killing could be taken 1 hour, half an hour, or something like that. But the punishment even in this world, according to some law, is 20 years in the prison. So you don't punish people just same amount of time as they did crime. Punishment is sometimes much longer, because crime it has different value. It's not measured by the time. It is measured by something else. If somebody has kufr and he has got enough time to repent, prophets remind him, the Quran reminds him, his mind reminds him, the people remind him, he rebels against everything. 60, 70 years. So it simply means this person, if he's going to live forever, he's going to do kufr. Like Nuh alayhi salam's people, 950 years, just kafir, he keeps reminding them. So Allah knows the best that, why he's punishing. This time is enough proof for the people's crime, that how great the crime is. Unbelief in God is not a simple crime. It is the worst crime on the face of the earth. It goes against the mind, against nature, against all the reasoning. No reasoning can support it. And then insisting on that until person dies for 50, 60, 70 years, that is very, very bad. Actually, it is basically meaning is abandoning the mind, abandoning the reasoning. So Allah knows the best how great the crime the person is. So He's the one who's going to punish, not me. So some of these things will become clear to us in the day of judgment. One thing is clear, that Allah is never unjust. So if he does something, it will be justice, and you will see there, you will be convinced. So, try to know one thing: you cannot understand all Allah's attributes in this world, but we understand enough that makes us to know really that other attributes are perfect. So we believe in that, though we don't understand maybe them, because some of them will be understood in the day of judgment. Even the punishment of the grave is very, very severe. People do small sin, but the way they are punished in the grave, if you read the details, they are, so much frightening. People cannot imagine. But Allah just, we know really, and that's nothing. Punishment of the, grave is nothing compared to the hellfire. And hellfire, even one moment is so great. You cannot imagine how burning the fire is, and how even 1 year, if you set some people get punishment for 1 million year, and then after that they're burnt, nothing, they don't exist. Do you think 1 million year punishment can somebody face? So we don't know really why Allah has made how this type, but what we know is He is just, He is fair, He loves us. So when He loves us and still has made this thing, there must be good reasoning, and we are not necessarily qualified to know everything He does, because He's God, He's unlimited, and our limited reasoning cannot comprehend Him. So surrender to Him. Read the Quran, you know really that what He does. Something we know. He said, people know very little, very, very little, and it is true really. We don't know, even we don't know about the fingers, how much. We don't know about ourselves. We don't know our children, all those things. Sometimes people punish people for much longer than they deserve. We don't know, because we don't know anything. Allah knows. If He punishes, their punishment must be justice. Actually, people will admit that what Allah has done, that's justice and fair. So believe in that, and the real knowledge will come, inshallah, when people die and they're raised in the day of judgment.
Jazakallah, Shaykh, for your time. I think we will wrap it up there, inshallah, because we have gone a little over. So we will end it there, inshallah. Just for everyone else, if you're interested in any upcoming short courses that Shaykh Akram is doing, inshallah, Shaykh Akram is actually holding a tafsir on Surah An-Nur. This is a 2-day course, and actually it's starting this Sunday, inshallah. So anyone who is interested, please head on to the URL on the screen, inshallah. And just another reminder for anyone who does not know much about Al-Salam Institute, Shaykh Akram is the principal of Al-Salam Institute. Our applications are currently open for our Islamic scholarship programs. Now is your chance to begin your journey studying sacred knowledge from the comfort of your home. And just a quick overview on the foundation year. The foundation year of Al-Salam Institute is a classical Arabic and Islamic sciences program tailored for students of Islamic knowledge who are just beginning their journey. The deadline for applications is the 31st of July. So for any questions, please head to this URL or just onto our social media. You can see different videos. You can ask us questions, inshallah. Sincere apologies for anyone who had questions that we couldn't answer. Please keep them for next week, inshallah, and we will try our best to answer them. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.